going on? What's going on, y'all? You know who it is. You know what it is, man. It's your boy Big June. I'm back with it. Here with another episode of Big June Sports Talk, man. Where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything and anything in the sports world, I touch on this platform, man. Let me say it again, because I can't emphasize it enough. The good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a lot of good and bad and ugly going on in the sports world, right? But before I get this episode off, congratulations are in order to the Philadelphia Phillies for handling their business and eliminating the Atlanta Braves and making another trip to the National League Championship Series, right? Where they'll face against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who shocked the world and swept the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? So congratulations to the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, and made a better team win with a berth, a stake, a trip to the World Series, right? As far as the American League East Championship Series, right? It's an all-Texas showdown. You got everybody's favorite villain, the Houston Astros, versus the Cinderella team of the American League, right? Or one of the American League Cinderella teams, and the Texas Rangers. So again, made a better team to win, right? Whatever team wins, because your boy Big June, you see the hat, so you know what it is. Well, it is what it is. Again, congratulations to the Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Philadelphia Phillies. Made a better team win. Hockey just kicked off. Shout out to my New York Rangers and all my New York Ranger fans. And hopefully, we can get the job done this season, right? But this episode, it's not really about updates of what's going on in the world, right? I promised y'all a Sean Taylor episode. And I had it in the wings. I was doing my research and found this out a little bit here. And I wanted to see which angle would I go as far as, he had a brief career. So the number-wise and the plays indicative of the young man's career, I couldn't put it into perspective in this short video, right? So I just try to give you some of the numbers that I collected, some of the research that I looked into the case, the individuals involved in the case. And it truly was sad when you see how this young man's life was tragically cut short, right? Life and career. Because he had a promising career as the safety in the National Football League, right? So without further ado, man, let's get into this. Sean Taylor, born April 1st, 1983, and was murdered November 27th, 2007. Drafted with the 5th pick in the first round of the 2004 NFL Draft by then Washington Commanders out of the University of Miami. Right? He was second team All-Pro 2007. A two-time Pro Bowler 2006, 2007. All-Rookie Team 2004. Washington Commanders have retired his number in the Ring of Honors. Right, the number 21. A BCS National Champion 2001. Jack Tatum Trophy 2003. Big East Defensive Player of the Year 2003. Unanimous All-American 2003. First team 2002. Second team 2003. All Big East. Right? Let me give you some of the numbers real fast as far as this NFL career. 305 tackles. 12 interceptions. 8 forced fumbles. And 2 sacks. Now those are some of the brief numbers on Sean Taylor. R.I.P. Coming in the line. Coming into the league, right? As the latest can't-miss prospect out of the University of Miami, right? And if you into college football, you've seen all the players that the University of Miami has produced from the offensive side to the defensive side. Following in the footsteps of Ed Reed, coming at the defensive schemes of Ray Lewis, and some of the other great players coming out of the University of Miami. Now here he was, on that stage, safety for the Washington Redskins / Commanders. I mean, for his brief career, known as a thumper, right? Known as someone that jar the ball away from the defender. Somebody called him a headhunter. Now, some will also say that some of the rules and as far as the game is played was altered due to players such as Sean Taylor. and his aggressive style of playing, right? But 12 interceptions indicated that he was a ball hog. That if the ball was in the vicinity, that young man was going to come down with it. And if he didn't come down with it, he was going to make sure that the wide receiver did it as well. So like I mentioned, a thumper. And could you imagine the career he would have had if it wasn't cut short? Could you imagine some of the plays that we would have saw on ESPN, the highlights? You know, because one of the highlights that stood out as far as Sean Taylor was the crazy hit at the Pro Bowl game, right? Like, yeah, wait a minute. Like the trainer from Apollo Creed said, excuse me, this is supposed to be an exhibition. Man, this man is out here headhunting. It is what it is, but that's what the late, great Sean Taylor brought to the game, that intensity, right? So, I'm going through the story, and I'm looking at it, and everything that transpired, right? From the burglary attempt, home invasion. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to get into that. Let's just get into it, man. On November 18th, 2007, burglars pried open a window to Taylor's empty home and rummaged through the desk and safe. On November 26th, Taylor heard noises in his house, and while investigating the situation, he was shot in his leg. So let's slow that down for a second, right? That's two separate dates, both in November. Burglars pried open a window at an empty home, residence of Sean Taylor, right? On November 18th. On November 26th, Sean Taylor sleeping at his home with his fiancee Jackie and their child when he heard noises. So he goes down to investigate what the whole hoopla was, right? What was going on, and was shot in the leg. Tragically, fatally shot in the leg. Taylor's femoral artery was severed, causing extensive blood loss. He was rushed to Jackson Memorial Hospital, where he died the following day. He was 24 years old. So, right, here he is, young, 24-year-old, future star of the National Football League, at home with his fiancee and child, when he hears noises. So he goes downstairs to see what all the noises is about, and was fatally shot in his leg, causing extensive blood loss. Taylor's funeral was held at the Farm Arena at Florida International University in Miami on December 3rd, 2007. On November 4th, men Benji K. Hunty, 20, Eric Rivera Jr., 17, Jason Scott Mitchell, 19, Charles Kendrick Lee Wardlow, 18, were arrested by police, and one more after a confession. All four were charged with felony. All four were charged with second-degree murder, armed burglary, home invasion with a firearm. Charges would carry a maximum of life in prison. So, all four were charged with felony, second-degree murder, armed robbery, armed burglary, home invasion with a firearm, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. In May 2008, a fifth suspect, 16-year-old Timothy Brown, was charged with first-degree murder and burglary. So now let's slow that down. You got four suspects charged with multiple crimes, from second-degree murder, burglary, armed burglary, home invasion, and a fifth suspect, Timothy Brown, age 16, where you normally would have to disclose the name because of the age. But due to the nature of this crime, I'm sure all these young kids, all these young men were charged as adults. So a fifth suspect was arrested on May of 2008. Now, let's go back for a second, right? Because it truly is disturbing. All right? You got Hunty, 20 years old. Rivera Jr., 17 years old. Jason Scott Mitchell, 19. Charles Kendrick Lee Wardlow, 18. So now, with the fifth suspect, 16. What were these young kids up to? Obviously, they were up to no good. Home invasion, burglary. A few of them running around with weapons on them. All murder charges were subsequently increased to first degree. Right? So if you were wondering what was the difference between the first 4 suspects being apprehended and the last one to get charged with first degree murder, so all charges were upgraded for all 5 defendants, right? First degree murder, burglary, home invasion, possession of a firearm. I mean, they were lucky that the district attorney did not seek the death penalty in this case. The NFL recognized Taylor's death by placing the number 121 decal at the back of the helmet of all players. Additionally, a moment of silence was held during all games on week 13. The first Redskins game after Taylor's death was December 2nd, 2007, which was against the Buffalo Bills at FedEx Field. So now, could you imagine the scene all across the NFL stadiums, somber, mourning of this young man, how he was tragically killed at his home of residence, with his kid, with his wife, at the house, by these young kids looking for no good. I mean, could you believe just the story? Criminals aging from 16 to 19. You know, some of these kids will get a day. We'll eventually get to see freedom. You know, but Sean Taylor is never going to see that again. He's never going to suit up for the Washington Commanders again. He's never going to get to hug his daughter and kiss his wife/fiance ever again. Just knowing that these young men ruin their lives for whatever reason. Home invasion, burglary, first degree murder. You know, some would say that they were spared the death penalty due to the ages. Because of the act, the criminal act, first degree murder, home invasion, burglary. Those are all violent charges that if they said, they would have been granted the death penalty. Listen, the game began with the Washington defense playing with 10 men on the field instead of 11. That's how they honored Sean Taylor before the game against the Buffalo Bills at FedEx Field, right? Players signal to the sky, holding up the 2 and the 1 sign for 21. His number is being retired on October 2021. The ceremony also included naming a road to the stadium in his honor. So his number gets officially retired by the Washington Commanders October 2021. Also was honored with a road named after Sean Taylor that led to the park, right? On May 12, 2008, it was announced that suspects, if convicted, would not face the death penalty but subjected to life imprisonment. Because the suspected gunman, Eric Rivera Jr., was only 17 at the time of the shooting. So like I mentioned, ages 16 and 19. The alleged suspected shooter, Eric Rivera Jr., 17 at the time of the shooting. Now, you know, in New York or in other states, depending on the nature of the crime, a lot of these young men will get charged as an adult. So they were spared the death penalty. But prosecution was definitely looking for life in prison for these young 5 men, right? On May 15, 2008, Venja Hunty accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 29 years in prison. On May 1st, 2009, Hunty petitioned the court to withdraw his guilty plea. After several delays by both defense and the prosecution, the other 4 held stand trial on January 12th. Judge set trial date of April 16 for the alleged shooter, Eric Rivera Jr. During this trial, Rivera testified that someone else had fired the gun. On November 4th, a jury found him guilty of second-degree murder and armed robbery. He was sentenced to 57 years in life, 57 and a half years to life in prison. On June 10th, Jason Scott Mitchell was convicted in Taylor's murder and sentenced to life. On April 1st, 2015, Charles Warlow, the fourth person charged, was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And a week later, the final defendant, Timothy Lee Brown, was sentenced to 18 years in prison under a plea deal agreement. So, all 5 suspects, from life to 18 years under a plea deal. That's how the story unfolds of all 5 charged in Sean Taylor's murder, right? I can't stress it enough how I do it on this platform. We discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything and anything in the sports world, I touch on this platform, man. So now, before I sign off, man, these young kids, up to no good. Right? You see in the beginning of the story, they were rummaging through housing areas, right? Looking for something to get into. Looking for a place to get into, right? To break into. So they must have remembered that they seen a window at an empty house. Or so they thought the house was empty, right? And come back a week later and fatally kill a grown man in his bed with his wife, with his kid, who happens to be a National Football Player League, right? National football player. Rest in peace to Sean Taylor. Condolences to his family and friends. The Washington Redskins / Commander organization, or his college teammates at the University of Miami, and everyone affected by this senseless murder, right? It's so easy to get in trouble. It's so hard to get out of it though, man. You know, before I go, all my family and friends in New York, man, stay safe, stay sharp, stay blessed, stay alert, stay on point. All my family and friends in the pen, some of y'all about to come home. Some of y'all just went up. You know, it's always love on this time, man. 1.